empathy for others, those with power and those without. Emily explores these questions, drawing on American musical theater, as well as her own experiences with retail work, chronic illness, and love. If you have a joy or a concern and you are online, please put them in the chat and they will be passed on to me. It's so good to see all of you here in the chapel and those enjoying us from home. For those that don't know, we are a platform, thank you, platform church where we have people at home or all across the states and even in Canada who have the opportunity to view our service, or you can come to church, or you can stay in your pajamas and still enjoy church. So let us turn around, those in the chapel, the cameras are in the back, and let's wave at the people that are online. It's by the clock. And I have not a clue how many people are online. It's always a mystery. So, and you can, yes, say hello to the people in the church. And we have several new guests, and so let's welcome them too. This reading is called Some Other Me from the musical If Then by Tom Kitt and Brian Yorkie. Some other me is homeless. Some other me is queen. Some other me has seen things that no other me has seen. If I meet her, I would ask her one question we both fear. Some other me, how did we end up here? And somewhere I'm president with plans that never fail, and somewhere I'm a rebel king, and somewhere I'm in jail. I didn't chase my glory days long after they were done. I found myself a woman or a man and had a son. Some other me's a rock star. Some other me is still cool. Some other me does not feel like some tired old fool. Look down each road left untaken. Trace every turn and twist. The lives that we just let go by. The dreams we might have missed. And now we're old enough to know the one road ends where one begins. The moment where the what might be's turn into what might have been. We are going to be singing hymn Number 1029, the words will be on our screen. Love knocks and waits for us to hear. Mary will play it one time, so if you're unfamiliar with the tune, you'll catch on. And then please stand if you're willing and able, and let's sing.
Good morning. I'm Emily Boston. My pronouns are she and her. And this is Chico. Chico was hibernating in a warm, cozy place. He had nice dreams. He dreamed of playing with 2 human kids, being dressed up in capes and flying through the air. He dreamed of laughter and hugs and snuggles, of chilly winds and warm sun. One day, a human voice woke him up. "Chico, where are you? Chico, time to get up." Chico was sleepy. He didn't want to get up. He burrowed down into the blankets. "Chico, buddy, there you are." Large human hands pulled him out of the blankets and shook him gently. "Hey, time to get up. You're going to Oregon. You will have a new friend. Her name is Sarah. It's okay, you can sleep on the way." The human tucked him into a box with some tissue paper and closed the box. Chico went back to sleep. Sometimes the ground under him was moving. Sometimes it was not. Chico didn't sleep as well on this trip. He was worried. What was Oregon? Who was Sarah? But he was also excited. He'd been hibernating a long time, and he missed those kids who used to play with him. So he dozed on and off, worried, excited, worried, excited. Bump, bump, stop. Bump, bump, stop. Stop. "Oh, look, a package from Pop," he heard a human voice say. Human hands reached in, pulled the tissue aside, and said, "Chico!" Give him a big hug. Chico was still a little bit dizzy and sleepy from the long trip. This human seemed familiar, but not familiar. He remembered the old red goat had told him that humans change in a way that he didn't. Sarah, this is Chico. Chico's ears picked up. He looked over, and there, on a blanket, was a human baby. Chico, this is Sarah. The familiar, yet not familiar human picked him up and put him on the baby so their tummies were touching. The baby reached her nose up and touched his nose and giggled. She kicked her feet, but he didn't fall off. Her tummy was warm and cozy, and she smelled just right. Chico decided that Oregon might be a good place to live after all.
Thank you for sharing that wonderful story, for the story for all ages. We are going to now sing. Wait. Where am I? Offertory. Gosh almighty. Already? These offertory words are from Victoria Weinstein, Generosity of Spirit. The purpose of the church is to encourage all who gather there to grow more generous in spirit and in action. This is the great end of all the faith's traditions, to bring the human being closer to the divine by acts of creation and compassion. We now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. The gifts of the congregation will most gratefully be received. We will now receive your offering for the support of the religious community and the work in the world. At Eastrose, when we collect the offering, half the cash in the basket goes to an organization performing charitable works in the community. This quarter, our partner is Friends of Nadaka. Nadaka Nature Park and Garden Project is a 10-acre area and a 2-acre neighborhood park not far from us, within minutes. Friends of Nadaka believe that everyone should have access to nature, access to healthy food, and that the community should have a safe place to gather, to celebrate, and to grow. This is one way Eastrose reaches out with compassion and recognition out in the neighborhood. The baskets will be passed. I will have one, and Lois will have. I'll be on this side, and Lois will be on that side. For those that are new here, you are our guests, and you can let for the baskets pass. The gifts of the congregation will now most gracefully be received. 10.
There's like one. And that's too big.
He can grow it too. By bringing your child to be dedicated in this fellowship of this church, you are acknowledging the wonder of life. You are proclaiming the importance of an ethical perspective. You are sharing with this congregation some of the joy that is yours as parents. The congregation, in welcoming this child, affirms its responsibility to aid in nurturing and teaching the young. Will the congregation join with these words that are written on the screen?
We, the members and friends of Eastrose, welcome this child in our midst. We will help these parents prepare their child to be an independent adult, aware of the world as it is and as it ought to be, aware of the power of one dedicated individual to change his course, aware of the power of love to overcome tragedy, evil, and injustice.
Will you, the parents, cherish and nourish your child in body, mind, and spirit, giving freely from your own ideals and dreams, while recognizing that your child must develop their own? Will you cultivate within your child a deep feeling for the breadth of humanity and the wonder of the earth and its creatures, and a spirit of kindness toward all people, so that your child may grow in the fullness of health and responsible living?
We will.
Oh, you're looking at me. Okay, what name, Melissa and Mel, have you given this child?
So the name we have chosen is Amos James Carroll Wright. Amos and James are both family names. Amos, a name that means strong, brave, and carried by God. James, a name that means may God protect. Amos is his great-great-great-grandfather who had many great adventures, learned many languages, and traveled by foot at a young age across the country as a pioneer, and then by horseback riding with the Pony Express. James, his great-grandfather, and Mel's grandfather, was a devout and loyal family man, and also a great adventurer who loved the outdoors. Also, Amos, an 8th century prophet in the Old Testament, is known for his fight for social injustices, believing all people to be equal and the same, regardless of their country of origin, race, class, level of education, or any of our many differences. We hope our little Amos embodies the will to fight against the injustices of the world and has many wonderful adventures throughout a long and fulfilled life.
Amos James Carroll Wright, by the name people will call you. May you wear this name in honor, in peace, and in courage. Now, I'm going to point the directions. The south will start. So, I'm trying to remember.
This way.
South?
South, that way. It's hard sometimes. Okay. Amos, we hold you toward the south, that you may feel the warmth of love. We hold you toward the east. I use GPS. We hold you toward the east, the direction of the rising sun. May you embrace the full potential of your life. We hold you toward the north and pledge to help you face the storms of life. Yes, you got it. We hold you toward the west. Oh, is that the west?
Yes.
Okay, yes. The direction of the setting sun. May your life move towards a beautiful horizon. We lower you toward the earth, that you may be grounded in reality. Oh, yes. And guided by your highest hopes. The flower that we give is a symbol of each child's unfolding. That's why this is not, it's still a bud. Potential for the future. And water is the life-giving link which makes all fertile earth bear fruit. This bud represents the potential of new life. The rose touches your brow, that you may grow in wisdom and understanding. Touches your mouth. It smells pretty good, huh? Touches your mouth so that you may taste the sweetness of life. Thank you so much. Touches your heart. Let's get your heart right there. Right? That you may find love abundantly. Touches your hands. That you might find good work to do. Touches your feet and those cool shoes. That you may find your own path through life. May your life unfold with the beauty of this flower. And it's hard being the center of attention when you don't want to be. Here at Eastrose, we offer a lifespan of religious education for you and your family. We like to remind you that parents are the primary religious educators of your son. But we are here to guide you in that process. There will be passages to celebrate in your family's lifetime with us. There will be times of crisis in which we hope, as a community, you can call on us for love and support. And now, I end the ceremony in the spirit of prayer and meditation. May Amos receive abundance. Yes, the blessing of health, love, knowledge, and wisdom. And in turn, just like your great-great-grandfathers, in turn give back richly to the common heritage which endures generation to generation. Amen and blessed be. Amen. Share, and we will sing this song every night and every morn, and the words will be on the screen. I'll play it through once.
Every night, every morn,
Hello again. In 2013, I was living in Washington, D.C., and my friend Patty asked me if I wanted to see a new musical with Idina Menzel. Yes. Yes, the answer to this question is always yes. Patty organized the tickets, and my parents drove up from Salisbury. A big group of us went to dinner and then over to the National Theater for the show. Live theater, especially a new play, is always a bit of a gamble. It might be a waste of time and money. Then again, it might change your life. The play was called If/Then, and we saw it right before it went to Broadway, where it ran for a year. It starred Idina Menzel, LaChanze, and Anthony Rapp. You may know Idina Menzel as the voice of Elsa in the movie Frozen. Let it go. But I will always think of her as Maureen from Rent and Elphaba from Wicked. Defying gravity? The set was constructed with a movable mirror set at a 45-degree angle above the stage. The opening number involved dancers twirling umbrellas of different colors, and it was all reflected in the mirrors. The whole cast was amazing. Menzel plays Elizabeth, a newly divorced city planner who moves from the Southwest to New York City. You may notice that a lot of plays take place in New York City. Her phone rings. Here, the plot branches into two paths. In one, she answers the phone. A grad school friend wants to hire her as the deputy director of city planning for the city of New York. In this first plot, Elizabeth, now known as Beth, answers the phone, agrees to the interview, gets the job. She finds fulfillment and joy in the job, but does not find love. Lucas, her best friend, wants to marry her, but she turns him down. In the second plot, Elizabeth, now known as Liz, lets the phone call go to voicemail. The deputy director job goes to someone's nephew the next day. She gets a mediocre adjunct teaching position, but she meets Josh, a doctor in the Army Reserves. After 3 chance meetings and a terrific song sung by LaChanze, in a coffee shop, in the subway, and in a park, they finally have a date. Soon, she accidentally gets pregnant, joyfully accepts his marriage proposal, and lives a happy life with him and their 2 sons for a while. Then the Army calls him up. He assures Liz that he'll be miles away from the action in an air-conditioned tent. But he takes an extra shift to cover for a friend, and he's in the wrong place at the wrong time and is killed. Menzel sings a heartbreaking song, Learn to Live Without, where half the song follows the first plot, talking about the loneliness of living alone, wondering if she'll ever find love. Half the song follows the second plot and talks about raising 2 sons without their father. I almost always skip this song when I listen to the soundtrack. It's too sad. But in the end of the first plot, Josh, the Army surgeon, took a different tour of duty and comes back to New York alive and well. He meets Beth in the final scene. The ending is left to our imagination, but I like to imagine that they live happily ever after. So I loved the play so much that I went back and saw it again the next day. I came home and I sat down at my IKEA table in my studio apartment and thought about my life. It wasn't a terrible life, but it certainly wasn't what I wanted it to be. My diplomas were collecting dust in my parents' house while I burned up all my energy working for a little higher than minimum wage on commission selling clothes at Brooks Brothers. I graduated in 2009, which was, as you may remember, A bad year to be looking for jobs in nonprofit theater. And the migraines got to the point that I couldn't work on a computer for more than a few minutes. And there's really not much you can do if you can't use a computer. Someone suggested I become a plumber, but he didn't know me very well. I would not be good at that sort of thing. My schedule changed week to week, which made it hard to plan anything. This is an ongoing problem for low-wage workers in many industries, particularly retail and food service. But the customers were generally kind, and the bosses were decent. I got along well enough with my colleagues. I had a few friends that I occasionally saw on my days off, when I had the energy. Working retail with chronic illness is not an easy life, but I had a safety net, and it was several layers deep. The family friend who offered me a room in her house for free, the lease my parents later co-signed for me, the money they sent for doctors, groceries, and more frivolous things sometimes too. The knowledge that I could also put in my 2 weeks' notice and move home if the fatigue and pain got to be too bad. Looking back on it, I sometimes wonder why I didn't. Despite the delicious kebab lunches and the discounts on the beautiful dresses, it was not an easy life. Retail is still retail, and it's not conducive to taking care of your body or eating lunch on time. Anybody here ever worked retail? Yeah. Now, dating in Washington, D.C. is not for the faint of heart. Fortunately, I have a really fast heart rate. It's called tachycardia. Dating with a chronic illness is really hard. It seemed like everybody but me had a great job and ran marathons, and every guy was looking for someone to keep up with my active lifestyle. Most of the social life revolved around loud bars and bright lights, not migraine-friendly. I made a conscious effort not to put a lot of energy into dating because I just didn't have it. It was a lonely life. Though I didn't do a lot of dating, I did certainly meet a lot of young men in my years with chronic illness, in grad school, in theaters, at Brooks Brothers. And after I saw that play and I sat down at my IKEA table, I thought about all the men I had met since college. And I realized that none of them stacked up to Kirill. Now, you guys don't know Kirill, but he's a good guy. In kindness, in gentleness, in patience. And I realized that in a tiny corner of my heart, walled off so completely that I didn't even admit it to myself, there was still a flame with his name on it. We had dated for a couple of years in college and broken up the summer after I graduated. We had barely been in touch in the 7 years since. Although I looked him up on Facebook a few times, but he was always in a relationship. But fate smiled on me and led those women in other directions. When I looked him up this time, he didn't have a relationship listed. So I sent him an email. I was subtle. Remember, we had been out of touch for 7 years. I wrote and I asked him if I could have his address to send him a Christmas card. A couple of weeks went by and I didn't hear anything back. Unsurprisingly, he did not interpret my email as a declaration of undying love. Also, it turns out that I had sent the email to an address he didn't check very often. He eventually did reply and told me he was moving to OR. I didn't understand what that meant. OR? Was that a typo? English is his third language. Our correspondence petered out. A few months later, it was February in DC, which is almost as depressing as February in Oregon. I was a little less subtle this time. I emailed him, and I asked him if he would ever consider getting back together after all these years. And I held my breath the whole time it took him to reply. I sent it to the right email this time. And he said he would. And then all of a sudden we were back together, though he was in California and I was in DC. So we dated long distance for a year, then lived in Hillsborough for a year, got engaged, bought a house in Beaverton, got married, celebrated our wedding in Seattle and Bulgaria, joined a church, and had a baby. We have now been back together longer than we had been apart. Our baby is now an active 3.5-year-old non-binary child, so she tells us at 3.5. My parents moved to Oregon and even bought a house 15 minutes away from us. My heart fills with gratitude when I think of my many blessings. But I still have chronic illness. I was recently diagnosed with a form of dysautonomia called POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Anybody heard of that? I intend to continue improving my health, but I also know that I will likely be living with some degree of fatigue and pain for the rest of my life, which is a depressing thought. But I had a safety net when I lived alone in a studio apartment in Washington, D.C., and I have an even stronger safety net now. A house without carpet, with a working air conditioner, which was really important this summer. Parents who can take me to urgent care when I'm too dizzy to drive. Church friends who bring me literal chicken soup when I am sick with yet another cold that Sarah brought home from daycare. And a terrific babysitter who is taking care of Sarah at this moment while Kirill is on call, so I can come give this sermon. Without the thick threads of this safety net, I would have been in trouble at many points in my life. Chronic illness makes it hard to work, which makes it hard to secure a place to live, which makes it hard to work. The kind of things that help my chronic illness are expensive. A quiet place to rest, healthy food, a good therapist, yoga classes, massages and acupuncture, vitamins and supplements. These things cost money as well as time. Time to rest, time to make food, time and childcare to attend the appointments. When I think of all the chances that led me to this moment, I am overwhelmed with gratitude. Kirill was born in Bulgaria in 1982, when it was still under communist control. He lived there and in Austria until he was 17. It was only by a last-minute scholarship from the UN that he was able to go to Davidson, the small liberal arts college in North Carolina where we met. I think about all the chances that led us to meet that very first time on a rainy February night in 2003. The rejection letters I got from other colleges, which led me to apply to Davidson, my roommate, who was from Romania, who introduced us, and then 7 years. Thinking of other people we could have married gives me shivers. We are truly blessed with this life. None of us were at our best in the last couple of years, and being with each other all the time takes a toll on anyone. If anyone got through the pandemic thus far without having a heated argument with somebody, you deserve a medal. Having a young child also takes a toll. They are adorable and exhausting. Suffice it to say that there have been many times in the past couple of years when I was filled with absolute rage at my patient, sweet, brilliant, impossible husband, including several times while revising this sermon this week. But I often remind myself that at least I am not living alone in a studio apartment in DC, wondering if I would ever find love. What other paths might you have taken? Where else might you be sitting this Sunday morning? Who else might you be listening to? This thought process will not bring rosy thoughts of gratitude for everyone, or even thoughtful reflection. Sometimes what might have been would definitely have been better. I want to hold space for those experiences too. Some people say everything happens for a reason, but I think that's baloney. I don't know why the world is full of such suffering. A practice of gratitude should never deny our traumatic experiences. Every one of us has suffered. Death, disease, dementia, addiction, divorce, depression. They touch every family, every person. Every trauma hits harder during the pandemic when we're living with a baseline of fear and isolation. And while we don't yet know how this particular pandemic has affected us, we do know that our bodies carry every trauma with us, whether we acknowledge or not. We also know that by holding these congregations together, we are strengthening our safety nets, knowing that sometime we may fall, and sometime we will catch others. Every text message and phone call, every card or email, every hug and hand clasp, every hymn we sing, every new logistical problem that we solve, all that committee work, every donation of money or time, of energy or empathy, it strengthens the net. And when you invite the other congregations of the Mount Hood cluster to the Nadaka Nature Park in October, you are extending your threads of this net to others. By the way, we're having a party at UUCCWC next Sunday afternoon from 1 to 4. Please come. Reverend Sue read for us, "Some other me is homeless. Some other me is queen. Some other me has seen things no other me has seen." Thinking about other paths our own lives could have taken gives us a chance to build empathy with others, even when we think they are being unreasonable. People are sometimes unreasonable. The politician who caves on an important issue, the person asking for spare change outside Powell's, the Providence insurance rep who cannot give you a straight answer to your very simple question, the parent staring transfixed at their phone while their kids stare transfixed at theirs, the server who got your order wrong twice, your boss's boss who does not understand the reality of your job. Could each of them be some other you? How about the person in the pew or virtual pew next to you? Could they also be some other you?
Now I'm going to ask for a volunteer because we're going to be singing in rounds, and I would like somebody to stand and just, they don't have to do a solo, but just help guide that side of the congregation, and I will stand on this side. Do I have it? Aha, yes, thank you, Kathy.
What are we doing? What song? Doing that song?
It's Building Bridges. Words are
Oh,
up
I
here.
sort of know it. I need.
So you will start, and then we will reach out.
Hang on. I need to have this one. I need one.
Yeah, so I will play it through once. We'll all sing it through once.
And then group one will sing the first 2 lines, and then group 2 will start at the beginning. We'll both sing it a couple of times.
Yes, please stand. I'm sorry, if you are able. We extinguish this chalice with these words. It Becomes More by Amy Zucker Morgenstein. And Emily, do you want to put out the chalice? When we take fire from our chalice, it does not become less, it becomes more. And so we extinguish our chalice, but we take its light and warmth with us, multiplying their power by all of our lives and sharing it with the world. Thank you. Closing words in benediction are from Leslie Jameson with empathy is a choice we make. Empathy isn't just something that happens to us, a meteor shower of synapses firing across the brain. It's also a choice we make to pay attention, to extend ourselves. It's made of exertion, that dowdier cousin of impulse. Sometimes we care for one another because we know we should, or because it's asked for, but this doesn't make us our caring hollow. The act of choosing simply means we've committed ourselves to a set of behaviors greater than the sum of our individual inclinations. This confession of effort chafes against the notion that empathy should always rise unbidden, that genuine means the same thing as unwilled, and that intentionality is enemy of love. But I believe in intention. I believe in work. I believe in waking up in the middle of the night, packing our bags, leaving our worst selves for our better ones. Again, empathy isn't something that happens to us. It's a choice we make to pay attention, to extend ourselves. May we choose, may we pay attention, may we extend ourselves to each other and the world. May it be so. May it be so. So we have some announcements. I want to remind people to look at the weekly petals that comes in your email. And if for some reason you don't have email and would like a copy of that, you can have that mailed. Linda Sheldak, where is Linda? There she is. She needs help with the peace garden out there weeding. Please make arrangement with Linda. There is her phone number in the petals, but you can also talk to her after the service. It will be the 100th anniversary of the first flower communion. For those that don't know about the flower communion, it was Norman Chopak started the flower communion obviously 100 years ago. So anyway, there is going to be more about having a UU celebration on that. It was mentioned by Emily about the picnic at Nadaga Park, October 2nd. It's 3:30 to 6:30. Not only is our church going to be, but the UU cluster, which is several UU churches in the Portland, Vancouver area, and we're all welcome to have a big picnic together. And then I want to, this is near and dear to my heart, we are having an auction in October, and it will be an online auction for 2 days, the 13th and 14th. And on the 15th, we are going to come here from 1 to 4 and have a party. It's been several years since we've had an auction because of COVID, and we're doing it a little different, but there will be some raffle baskets, so bring some money, your checkbook, cash, whatever, to buy tickets for the baskets. People need, I think Carol Knox will be contacting people about bringing some desserts. We'll have coffee and tea here. There is no cost. If you want to make a donation, you are more than welcome. Everyone is welcome. But more important for the auction is we need items to go online. And so the person that is doing that is Katie Norris, who's not here. She's at a workshop today. But she needs to have ideas for items that can be sold online. It could be a dinner, it could be something you have, it could be some artwork you have. This is not a rummage sale, this is an auction. And so Katie would love to have a description and a picture, and she is willing to take information up to the 25th of September, and then she has to kind of pull it all together for getting it online. I am responsible for the baskets, so anybody that has an idea for a basket, you could do a food basket, a coffee and tea basket, a book basket, it's endless. Please contact me and let me know what you're willing to donate, and that would be wonderful. I want to also put out an announcement that I am very, very thankful for the people that put this service together. John Netherton, Phyllis Adams, Mary Reese, and Emily Bush. Thank you very much. The service is over. We will have time for coffee and tea, and I think Mel and Melissa brought some goodies to share to celebrate their baby dedication, and so everyone is welcome to have that and mingle and have conversation. Okay, thank you. Amen.